It's time for the Hockey Writers Grind Line, a weekly show covering everything Detroit Red Wings. Brought to you by our own iconic top line of Wings writers. Sit back and enjoy The Grind.
Welcome to the Hockey Writers Grind Line, brought to you by The Morning Skate, the Hockey Writers morning newsletter that is jam-packed with the best hockey stuff on the planet. Sign up today at morningskate.io for free delivery to your inbox Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also, drop us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay on top of all of the best Hockey Writers content. I am your host, Kyle Knopp, and today I am joined by my line mates, Devin Little, Logan Horn, and we are welcoming back Delaney Reimer. Happy to have you back, Delaney. How's your summer been going?
It's been pretty good. Just finished up summer classes last week and then going back to fall classes in 2 weeks. So
awesome. Well,
enjoying my 2 weeks of summer.
I hope you do. I hope you're able to enjoy those 2 weeks. And, if nothing else, you got some World Junior hockey to talk about and watch. So that's always fun. So let's jump right into it. And we're going to start with our favorite segment, one good, one bad from the past week. And obviously, my good, hockey in August, just alluded to it. The World Juniors going on right now. And even though there's been a lot of hate on Twitter about how there were only 12 fans for that Germany-Austria game or whatever, granted, it was 40 minutes before the puck dropped when they took that photo. We still have hockey in August. And so whenever you get hockey, live hockey, that's always a good in my mind. And then the bad, just want to shout out to Ben Stetler, the Oilers super fan, 6 years old, lost to brain cancer way too early. So just sad news in the hockey world. Obviously not fun when that happens. So, all right, moving on. Delaney, welcome back. What is your one good, one bad from the week?
I pretty much agree with your one good and your one bad, but to go off of the hockey in August, I got to say Carter Mazur last night.
Yes.
That's a one good for sure. And then not a total bad, but Costa didn't get to keep the starting spot for Canada in the World Juniors. Kind of seemed to have lost that, but that was kind of up in the air anyway. So it's not really a bad. It's just kind of a meh.
Sure.
Fair enough. And honestly, that could just be the case of 1A going game 1, 1B going game 2. They had kind of, not very great competition, although Latvia played really well against Canada. So who knows? It could be turning right back around with Costa at the next game.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just going to say, I hope that it's a 1A, 1B situation, but I know he could have played a lot better.
Yes.
They were really looking for a lot better out of him. So
fair point, Delaney. Logan, over to you. One good, one bad from this past week.
All right. For my good, I'm going to go with Donovan Sabrango playing for Team Canada.
Yes.
Alternate captain there. He's been killing it. He's a quiet player. Like you're not going to see, he's not flashy like Luke Hughes or even Edvinsson is. He's just quiet and solid. And last night on the TSN broadcast for Team Canada's game, Bob McKenzie, Margarita Bob, Bobby Margarita, that's what it is. He was just raving during one of the intermissions about Sabrango and the value that he brings on the penalty kill on defense and regular plays. And there was one play where he intercepted a pass and just one touch to the head, and that led to some say 4-on-0. I think it was like a 4-on-1 for Canada, but it was like a 3-person breakaway. Mason McTavish scored. It was just a really smart play by Sabrango, and I've been really impressed with him. I mean, it makes sense. He's got a lot more pro experience than most people there, but yeah, he's been a pleasant surprise for me. So that's my good. My bad is just something I'm nervous about, and that is Simon Edvinsson left Team Sweden's preliminary game really early on with an injury. They said it was precautionary. They just wanted to make sure that he was healthy. But I'm just like, that's always in the back of my mind now, because that's always the danger with playing in the World Juniors. And it would be a real bummer if that shortened his tournament or messed with his training camp coming up. But yeah, that'd be my bad, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, good call out there. I love they did an interview with Donovan Springo. I think it was in the first game in between periods, and asking about him wearing that C. And he just said, well, normally I'm quiet in the locker room, so I guess I have to be a little bit louder now, which was kind of a fun thing to hear. But yeah, that's a great call out there, Logan. All right, Devin, over to you. One good, one bad from the past week.
Well, for the sake of not being redundant, I'm going to keep mine short and sweet. My one good is that Werner's released a black cherry flavor and it is delicious. And my one bad is that I've only got a few left, so I got to go get more tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. I absolutely love that. And next time I am in Michigan, I am stocking up on some black cherry Werner's because that sounds amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Devin. That's great. All right. Well, that's going to give us a smooth transition, smooth like Werner's, into our early takeaway from the World Junior Classic or Championship. Sorry. We're talking Detroit players: Simon Edvinsson, Theodore Nederbach, Sebastian Kosa. You know, some of these guys, have any of them been standing out to you in the early games? I think most teams have played 2 games. Sweden might be on game number 3 as we speak, or they might have just wrapped that up. Devin, I'm going to come right back to you because that was a beautiful, beautiful setup there. What are early takeaways from the World Junior Championship, and who has been standing out in your mind?
Well, I'm going to talk about the player that Logan was talking about with his one bad. And Simon Edvinsson looks like a man playing against kids when he is playing. And I mean, maybe that's to be expected. You got a lot of players in this tournament right now that either are like lower level prospects or just never going to play in the NHL. And then you have Simon Edvinsson, who's expected to push for an NHL roster spot this year. And then there's also just the fact that Sweden hasn't played Canada. They haven't played the US. Like, they haven't played like the top dogs in the tournament quite yet. But it is encouraging to see him, playing big time minutes as he was. And then he's got 2 points, 2 games. He had that goal earlier today, which was a very nice shot, kind of a seeing eye type of shot. And yeah, he's just living up and doing exactly what you want to see him do in this tournament. He's easily Sweden's best defenseman, and you could probably make an argument that he's the best player right now. And not to potentially steal some talking points here, but it's a good. I feel like this so far, as long as he stays healthy, it's going to serve as a really good running start heading into training camp. So I've really liked what I've seen out of Edvinsson, and I'm really hoping to see more of it.
Yeah, I believe we will be talking about that quite a bit more in a minute, but you're absolutely right. And also to put Logan's bad at rest again, because we don't want any more rumors coming out that Logan's trying to destroy this team from within. Simon Edvinsson played 18 and a half minutes of ice. Had 18 and a half minutes of ice time today. So if there was a injury the other day, he seems to be doing all right because he led the team with ice time. So Logan, I just love it. You're dropping those rumor bombs every week. So, let's come over to you then. Give it to us. What are your early takeaways from the World Junior Championships? And are there any standouts among these Red Wing players?
Okay, I'll try not to rattle anyone else, I guess. I don't know. I'd say Red Savage on Team USA has been a pleasant surprise for me.
Yeah.
Playing for Miami University last year in the NCAA, he was good, not great as a freshman on kind of a weaker NCAA team. But my expectations weren't very high for him coming into the camp. And when they narrowed down the roster a bit, I was like, okay, he might make the team then. And then he did. And he was excellent in the pre-tournament games. He's been pretty solid so far. That's been a lot of fun. But also I just want to mention Kosa real quick. I think he's actually looked pretty good. I see a lot of people real scared whenever he lets a single goal in any game. And I get it. I totally get it. But he's so young. And he's still really quite good. Dylan Garand has just showed a little more consistency this early in their careers. And so that's why he has the starter's net right now. Some people are worried about the two goals against by Kosa when they faced Latvia. But honestly, as you mentioned, Kyle, Latvia has looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they deserve to be there, even though they kind of just got added in by default. They needed an extra team, but they've been really, really solid.
Yeah.
And I thought Kosa might have looked a little shaky early on, but really started to find his groove a little bit and settle down. I don't expect him to play any other games unless Garand has a real stinker or he gets hurt. Usually at the World Juniors, when a goalie's playing well, you just let them run the table. They play out until the end of the tournament. I expect that, but I'm happy with what I've seen from Kosa at this year's tournament.
That Hasek-esque poke check.
Oh yeah,
that game was so fun.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, that was interesting to see. So good call out there, Logan. Absolutely, I think Red Savage has been having a phenomenal tournament. I believe you even said, I don't remember if it was in a tweet in your article or on this podcast, but I believe you said about a week before they announced the final roster that you think he was going to be on the outside, looking in just on the outside, making that team. And here he is. And he's put up a couple points. I think he's put up, I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but he's led and drove the play quite a bit. I mean, he's been having a great tournament. I've enjoyed watching him. So great call out there. And then, Sebastian Kosa, hopefully we see him again, but that also probably means that, Sweden is beating up on Canada, which is never good to poke the bear in the preliminary. So, all right, Delaney, over to you. You already mentioned Carter Marzer as one of players to watch. Do you have anyone else that has been impressing you? And what do you think of the other Red Wings prospects?
Red Savage has been a pleasant surprise. I was going to talk a little bit more about Carter Mazur is what I had jotted down for this. Just the 2 goals and the assist in last night's game. That was huge to see, putting up a 3-point game in the World Juniors, coming off of winning the national championship for college hockey. That's impressive. I've got my eye on the college hockey prospects a little bit more this upcoming season. It was exciting having the 3 win with Denver. So being able to see Mazur a bit more in the off season and he's a sneaky player. He's sneaky, he's aggressive. He's fun to watch because initially he didn't stand out to me, but the more I watch him, I'm like, oh, that's fun. Oh, he's fun. But and then on top of that, circling back to Kosa, I agree that he has looked good. He has looked a lot better than I was anticipating, I guess I could say that. But he is still really young, and I feel like a lot of people are super hard on young goalies. People are hard on old veteran goalies as well. Like if they let something in and they're like, oh, I could have saved that. It happens with anybody. So he's got a long way to go before he's going to end up behind the winged wheel, definitely still. But it's good to see him play.
How poetic she says that with a Jimmy Howard jersey hanging behind her.
Hey, I'm a former lacrosse goalie. I get it. I've been there.
I think you're absolutely right, though, in terms of just the panic button that everyone seems to be hovering over whenever he does let in a goal or two. And it's, you have to keep in mind, this is the World Junior Championship. Everyone is under 20 at this tournament. Goalies don't tend to really truly develop until they're about 24. A lot of these players are going to start making impacts at the National Hockey League level by the time they're 22. So players develop a little bit faster than goalies. So giving up 1 or 2 goals to these guys is not, uncommon. And so you just kind of take all of these goals against with a grain of salt. Yeah, if he's given up 4 or 5 goals against, to the Austrias, to the Latvias, then maybe it is time to hover over that panic button. But right now, I think he played very solid. A couple of the, I think it might have been Ken Danico, as one of the commentators was talking about having quiet feet as a goalie and just being in position and set and ready to make that play or to make that push or to get up after a rebound. And he really seems to be having those quiet feet, which is something you want to see from a young goalie prospect.
Yeah, it's also always good to see a goalie give you a bit of a heart attack every once in a while. He'd go out for that poke check. I'd glance down and I saw him going. Oh dear.
Oh yeah. If you don't have that, do you really have a goalie in net?
No, you don't. If they're not a little crazy, there's nobody there.
Absolutely. That's what makes goalies. All right. Well, moving on, still talking World Junior Championship. Does going to the WJC give a player like Simon Edvinsson or someone else a head start for training camp compared to players like Owen Power or Matty Berniers who did not attend the World Junior Championship? And I'm going to start with, let's go Delaney first. What are your thoughts on having a player playing in this tournament right before training camp? And does it give them a head start compared to the players that have skipped?
It keeps their skates warm. I'll say that. It keeps their skates warm. It keeps their legs moving, and they don't have as much of that downtime as other players do. So they're a little more ready to go. They're warmed up already. So they're ready to come in and bring it their all to training camp. If you want to look at it on the bright side, or you could always look at, oh, they could risk an injury. They could risk this. They could risk that. But ultimately, I think the experience and just getting a little bit of a preseason warm up before going to training camp, especially if you're fighting for a spot on the roster, it's definitely helpful. So I'd say if you're in that position where you're staring down a roster spot and you got to put it all out for training camp, might as well get a bit of a warm-up lap in first.
It keeps their skates warm. I absolutely love that, Delaney. That was very perfect and poetic. Thank you for that. Was amazing. All right. I don't even know if I should go to the guys now, but I guess have to. Yeah. Logan. Yes. Sorry, bud. You were just on top.
That's all right.
Just go to the World Junior Championship. Give a player like Simon Edvinsson a head start for training camp, especially compared to players like Owen Power and Matty Berniers who are not attending the tournament.
Sure. I think that it does give you a head start as long as you stay healthy.
Yep.
Having these actual competitive reps in is a pretty sweet thing to have. Like those players, Power, Berniers, Slavkovsky, like they're just working with trainers right now, just working out, doing skates with a couple other guys on the ice. It's not the same. It's not the same pace. Not that training camp has game pace, but I don't know. I think it can definitely work for you. There's always the risk of injury, but that risk also exists at training camp.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on what the player wants. And Edvinsson clearly wanted to go and win a gold medal with Team Sweden.
Yep.
That meant a lot to him to have the chance to do that again. So the Red Wings were like, sure. Like, what's the worst case scenario? He gets injured and he can't go to training camp and then he plays in Grand Rapids. That's not that bad. Maybe I shouldn't say that's the worst case scenario, but that's a bad case. That's a bad case
Knock
scenario.
on some wood now.
Yeah. I will say it right now. People will hate it, but I'm not superstitious. Not even a little.
We didn't even have to set him up.
I can do it. I can do it for others. Yeah, that's right. I'm just ruining everything. Anyway, I think it could be a really beneficial thing for a player. I'm honestly surprised more of the top prospects from the last draft aren't here, because I don't expect like Shane Wright to make like a serious impact in the NHL this year. He could, and that'd be great, but I think it's going to be quite an adjustment. So I'm surprised he doesn't just try to go for a gold with Canada and see where that takes him. But I think it's nice. I like seeing it. I like that Edvinsson wanted to play games more than he wanted to work out in an empty rink. So that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good call out too, Logan. Anyone can get injured at any time. People can get injured while training in the weight room. It happens. It's just something that happens. But yeah, if you're staying healthy through these camps, I think getting that game experience and wearing your country's crest, on your jersey, that can mean a lot more and can give you a lot more experience than missing out of that, even if it is only at the junior level. But I understand why players like Power and Berniers and Wright didn't go. But I'm sure Canada is kind of wishing that they would have, because holy cow, could you imagine that team with Owen Power and Shane Wright? I mean, they would be unreal. So good call out there. And I also have to say, I saw Anthony Mantha break his leg at prospect tournament up in Traverse City one year. So it can happen at any time. It doesn't, just by being in a training camp doesn't mean you're necessarily taking any bit off of your competition level. You know, you're competing the whole time. So why not let them do it for their country? Absolutely. All right, Devin, I'm going to give you the last word on this since no one has quite summed this up perfectly yet. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Does going to the World Junior Championship give a player like Simon Edvinsson a head start for training camp, especially when compared to players like Owen Power and Matty Beniers, who did not go to the August tournament?
Quote, I'm just ruining everything. Logan Horn. Love it. So I think the thing that really stands out for me there, I mean, everything that Delaney and Logan said is right. I completely agree with it. Only thing I'll add is that I think when you look at like the specific examples of Owen Power and Matty Beniers, both of those guys are like 100% expected to play for their NHL teams this year.
Correct.
Power with Buffalo, Beniers with Seattle. Whereas Edvinsson, yeah, there's the expectation that he'll push for a job, but the key word there is push for a job, not have a job. So I think for Edvinsson, this is a good opportunity to A, get that running start we talked about, B, represent his country like what was just said, and C, I guess just he's not in the same category as the other guys where it's almost like a sure thing that they're going to play in the NHL. So for him, this is kind of a last opportunity to do this type of thing. And like Logan said, he said on the one day he was at development camp that ever since he was little, he dreamed of playing in a World Junior tournament. So this is obviously important to him. Yeah. And like you said, Kyle, if the Red Wings are able to let him have that opportunity, then by all means, let him have that opportunity. Let him go be the best defenseman at this tournament. Yeah. That's only going to give him the confidence he needs to grab that roster spot that we've been talking about him potentially grabbing.
Absolutely. I mean, you also summed it up perfectly. So good job there, Devin. Fantastic insight from all three of you. I can't add anything else. I don't have anything else that would make sense to add, but that was, we'll see how this tournament plays out, but I think it is going to be a great start for Edvinsson, especially if he continues to play like he has been. All right. On to our new segment, and I'm going to explain the rules real quick because Delaney has been away from us for a while, and we started this segment a couple weeks ago called Off the Rush. So what this is I'm going to ask a question. We are going to go around the horn, and we're going to go in alphabetical order by first name. So Delaney, Devin, Kyle, then Logan. And then we will answer these questions with a max of 2 sentences, and then we will fire off on the next segment. All right. So first question for Off the Rush. Will Edvinsson be named the best defenseman at the World Junior Championship? How many points will he get, Delaney?
Well, I think he's an easy choice to be named the best defenseman at the World Junior Championship. He's got the size, he's got the skill, he's got the speed, and he's got the skating. What more could you ask for? But I think he's going to put up a solid point per game pace, at least, if he keeps going as he's going.
Devin.
As long as he's healthy and as long as he plays well, I think he absolutely will be named the best defenseman at the tournament. How many points? I'm going to say 8.
All right. I think he should be named the best defenseman at the tournament, but I do not think he will. I think there will be a Canadian bias, and I think he will have 7 points. Logan.
I don't think he's going to win it. I think Luke Hughes is too insane on offense.
Also true.
Edvinsson, I expect to get 6 points.
6 points. All right. Excellent. Second question. Who finishes first, second, and third, gold, silver, bronze at the World Junior Championship? Delaney.
Definitely wrong. Going to lead with that. Sweden, Canada, America, and shout out to Switzerland. They're holding their own.
All right. Devin.
I am on record over at Prospects Corner for saying Sweden gold, Canada silver, and Finland bronze. I'm going to change it and have the Americans get bronze. I kind of underrated their skater group.
All right. I'm going Americans first back-to-back at this tournament. The Canadians and then the Swedes. Logan.
I'm going to say Canada for gold, USA silver, and Finland bronze.
All right. Okay, we're going to take a quick breath here and reset the show. This is The Grind Line. I am Kyle Knopp here with Devin Little, Logan Horn, and Delaney Reimer, and we're talking Red Wings hockey. Before we get back into it, we wanted to remind you to sign up below for the Morning Skate, a morning newsletter delivered to your inbox Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, jam-packed with the best hockey stuff on the planet. It's a daily dose of the latest NHL news, rumors, history, funnies, quizzes, and more. Just a little hockey fun and information delivered to you for free from the Hockey Writers. Sign up today at morningskate.io. All right, getting back into the show. Jake Walman just signed a 1-year, $1.05 million contract with the Detroit Red Wings to avoid arbitration hearings. What are your thoughts on this deal? And Devin, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I think it's a pretty solid deal. All things considered, I don't have a big issue with it. I don't think he's getting overpaid. I don't think he's getting, if he is getting overpaid, he's only slightly getting overpaid. And I don't think he's getting underpaid. I definitely don't think that. I think it'll be interesting to see how the season plays out for him because he is starting injured. He won't be with the team to start the season. Had a shoulder surgery he had to undergo. And then when he does get back, there's going to be quite a few guys ahead of him, theoretically, right? We were very excited about him to end the season last year. Yes. He was leading the charge from the back end. He had that big old cannon of a shot. Wasn't able to put up a ton of points, but he did a lot of the right things. And that was a rare sight on last year's blue line. But like I said, you've got Sherratt, Mata, and probably Edvinsson, who are going to be on that roster around the time he's back from injury. So where does he factor in? And that's going to be where the fact that it's only 1.05 million does not it doesn't matter because you're not overpaying a guy who maybe is only playing every other game, if that.
Absolutely. Good points there. Delaney, I'm going to come over to you. Jake Walman signed a 1-year, $1.05 million contract. What are your thoughts on this deal for Walman and the Red Wings?
If I remember correctly, he was looking for a solid portion more than 1.05. Oh, yeah. So this is definitely a lot more reasonable. If we would have taken him for what he was asking, then I would say bad idea. But since he's injured, he's going to be a bit more of a every once in a while character once he comes back into the lineup, I would say. And especially because it's a one-way contract, if I remember correctly. So it'll be a bit more difficult if they were to try to move him between the Griffins and the Wings. So they'd have
to put him on waivers, right?
Yeah, I think that's how that works. But he's going to face a huge cut in playing time because of that. If they would have gotten a two-way contract, I could see him getting a lot more time in Grand Rapids. So I'd say it's a fine deal. He did a lot of things right. He's not huge. He's not insignificant. So I'd say it's fine.
Good point there, Delaney. Logan, your thoughts on Jake Walman signing a 1-year, $1.05 million contract and what this means for him and the Red Wings this season?
I think it's basically best case scenario for both sides. I think the number that he was sitting at for the arbitration hearing was around 1.75, which obviously is too much. And then the club was somewhere at league minimum. But that's just kind of how arbitration hearings go. You have the extremes and it's always in the middle. So the reason I think it works for the Red Wings so well is they have so many new left defenders. Edvinsson is the main one that is going to be kind of fighting with Walman for playing time once he's healthy. But the reason it works for the Red Wings is that this deal is just under the limit for the cap hit that can be buried in the AHL. So it clears straight off the cap if they put him down. And the reason it works so well for Jake Walman, he got a one-way contract instead of two-way, which I've realized on Twitter with a lot of people's reactions to those. I think there's some misinformation about what one and two-way are. Yep. It has nothing to do with waivers. You have to be put on waivers for both of those contracts. The difference between one and two-way is the salary.
Yep.
So one-way contract is guaranteed money. So he makes that 1.05, whether he plays in Grand Rapids the whole season, or if he doesn't play a game, or if he plays in Detroit. If he was on a two-way deal, there'd be a big gap between, say, 1.05 million if he played in the NHL, or like 200,000 in Grand Rapids. So it's just salary certainty for him, which is perfect because he hasn't established himself as a full-time NHL defenseman necessarily. So it gives him some certainty, gives him a chance to get healthy and play his best game. And if it's not returning, then look for a new job elsewhere in the off season. So I think it's a great deal. I think it's perfect for both sides, really. I'm happy to have him back.
Yeah. I mean, first off, Logan, thank you for explaining that for us and our listeners. I mean, that was a great explanation of to how that works, but I think you're absolutely right. This is perfect for both sides. So because he's injured and because he's not really worth that 1.75, you have to assume the arbitrator was going to side with the Red Wings. So this allows Walman to have that, like you said, full guaranteed 1.05 million for the season, whether he ends up in the AHL or if the surgery doesn't go well and he's on IR the whole season. It allows them to offer him a chance to rehab in the AHL while making that salary as he comes back. And then if assuming he clears waivers, if he fights for a spot back up on the Red Wings and they find out at the end of the season they just have too many guys, they can move him to a team that could be looking for a veteran defenseman for really cheap at the deadline. I mean, even if they were to, 1 million is going to be a lot of teams are going to be able to cover that. But even if you retain half that salary, like a team that's cap strapped that needs a left-handed shot defenseman is going to have this option there. And the Red Wings could clean up a draft pick or two for essentially nothing. And then if this just doesn't work out and the Wings lose him to waivers or have to eat the salary, it's only 1 million. It's not that big of a deal. So, we see that and we're going to talk about the Red Wings have a ton of cap space. This is just a friendly deal all the way around. And it guarantees Walman's going to be set this year, even if he ends up losing out on his position, which really could happen. So it saves space for everyone. And I think it's a great deal, honestly, with the way that it's structured. All right. Speaking of cap space, the Red Wings have 9.2 million with only Philip Zadina left to sign. Should they target a cap strap team for a cap dump type deal? And if so, which teams should they target? And Delaney, I'm going to start with you.
See, I'm just looking at the projected cap space for a couple of teams. I have it pulled up to the side here. And, the top two that I'm always going to say to poke at, Leafs and Lightning, they have their cap issues, and we could get anything good from either team because there's been a lot of murmurs about a Leafs trade involving Tyler Bertuzzi, like just entertaining that idea. So that could be a way to get a cap dump kind of situation, would be to use him. And then one of the most famously cap strap teams in the league, Vegas Golden Knights. You can always poke at them, honestly. So I'm not a professional with caps in the slightest, but you could get good guys from any of those teams easily. And I'm not saying that they should poke at them, but they definitely could. And I know Stevie knows that.
So since you introduced the evidence to the jury, who would you go after from Toronto if there was a Tyler Bertuzzi deal?
Oh boy. this is
Austin Matthews, right?
Oh yeah, 1-for-1, obviously. That's the most even trade one could ever ask for.
Yeah, the Leafs are saving so much cap space.
Yeah. I mean, come on. And they're going to lose them to nothing to Arizona too. So like, you got to do it now. Yeah.
Fair. That's true.
Oh gosh, I think the name that I see float around the most would probably be Nylander. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but that's what I see the most. And I think that can make the most sense, but either team would need to throw in something more, probably. I'm not too sure what his contract looks like, but I would love it if we could pull a Mitch Marner out of the situation. I will say that we're not going to.
Do you think the Detroit Red Wings would take on a Swedish player though?
Oh, wow. That seems kind of unheard of given.
Yeah, they don't seem to like them around here.
I don't know. Pretty Swedish phobic out in Detroit.
All right. Logan, I want to get your thoughts. The Red Wings have $9.2 million in cap space with just Filip Zadina left to sign. Should they target a cap strap team for a cap dump type deal? Thank you for making this a tongue twister, Devin.
It's a good one.
So, which team should they target?
Oh yeah, you're doing great with it, Kyle. I love the idea of weaponizing the last bit of cap space the team has. For me, the ideal cap dump trade, like if you're taking on the cap, is a single year for a contract. You don't want to have dead or really bad cap space taken up by a player just because you got one good asset out of it. So I was looking around at some 1-year deals left, and I think the best spot might be the Philadelphia Flyers, because they seem to be one of the most delusional front offices at the moment, that believe they're so much better than they are. They're like, they're not in a place to succeed, but they really seem to think they are. So my suggestion is completely fill up to the cap. We're going to take on James Van Riemsdyk, the last year of his contract, $7 million, one more year. That's a ton of space. So you got to pay up if you want $7 million in cap space. He's going to score 20 goals, 40 points at least, maybe more, who knows, depending on who he plays with and how good of a year he has. But if the Red Wings have to include a little something in return, if the Red Wings could get the Flyers' first-round pick in next year's draft, I think that would genuinely be one of the most valuable picks because, like I said, they're going to be bad, even though they think they're going to be so good. So they're going to keep making themselves worse, probably, for the time being. So I think that could be worth a lot. And I mean, people have been talking for years about how stacked the 2023 draft class is. And after watching the Hlinka Gretzky Cup tournament recently, like there's some excellent players that are going to go in the top 20, like in the 10 to 15 range. There's excellent players. So if you have the chance to pick just another one of those, if the Flyers pick is say like 15th or something, that could be an incredibly valuable piece for the future. That would be my pick, the Flyers.
I mean, saying the Flyers at 15 is pretty generous. I gotta assume they're gonna have a top 10. I would assume they're gonna have a top 10 pick this year, but JVR for 1 year with a chance at a top 10 pick. Yeah, okay. I can get on board with that, Logan. Absolutely. Devin, I'm gonna give you the final word on our final topic here with the cap space. Red Wings have $9.2 million in that space with only Zadina left to sign. Should they target a cap strap team for a cap dump deal? And if so, which team should they target?
I'm going to say only if the proposed deal is like too good to pass up. And I'm talking like getting Max Pacioretty for nothing, or getting JVR with a first round pick attached to it. Like those are the type of deals that if they're out there, then yeah, absolutely make it happen. Yeah. And the only reason why I would say only in that like perfect world scenario is because, we were talking about this last week. It's already going to be very hard for the team's youngest players to break through and get on this roster.
Yep.
And you're only going to make it harder by bringing in James Van Riemsdyk or bringing in a defenseman or, and as much as, competition's good, you want to bring in as many good players as possible. I think especially, thinking of like a player like Jonathan Berggren, who's 22 already. I think even if he starts in Grand Rapids, you want to have a good, clear path forward for him to be like a quick call up, like one of the first guys to call up. And if you bring in too many guys, you've got your depth right there that, Berggren's not going to see the NHL. So I think, you look at, if you pull up Cap Friendly right now and you look at the Red Wings salary cap page, that's the roster. Like the roster's pretty much set already, and they still have to sign Zadina, like you mentioned. So unless they're getting something that is too good to pass up, or a Max Pacioretty for nothing that would really elevate the team, I just don't think they need to do it. Plus, final thought here, cap space is arguably, especially in a flat cap world, the most valuable asset that a team can have. So if you bring in a big old contract, my dog agrees. If you bring on a big old contract, you don't have your cap space, and then you don't have the wiggle room at the deadline that you would have had before. Just because you have all this cap space does not mean to use it, or does not mean you have to use it. I think Ken Holland taught us that lesson very, very well. To make it 2 weeks in a row now that we jab Ken Holland.
And might as well throw our hello to Ozzy and Pat now. Absolutely. You don't have to use that cap space. You're absolutely right, Devin. I 100% agree with you there. I don't think the Red Wings necessarily need to use their cap space. Like you said, it does clog that path for those kids to come up. My biggest target, if they did decide to go after a team, would definitely be the Boston Bruins right now. They have too many players on their roster and are like almost 3 million over the cap space and absolutely need to dump something. And so they could be a team that could easily be fleeced. And then Logan, your shout out to Philadelphia, man. That was just perfect. That was excellent. So let's fleece the Flyers. Why not? Because everyone seems to just be able to do it. So
Buffalo did that with Ristolainen.
That's true. That is very true. All right. Well, look at that. It's a turnover, and we are off on the rush. All right. Starting reverse alphabetically this time. How many games will Walman play with the Red Wings this season after missing the start of the season with a shoulder injury? Logan.
I'm going to say 15 to 20.
I'm going to say 25 to 30. Devin.
I'm going to say 20 to 25.
Delaney.
And I was being too generous with my guess, and I'm going to knock him down to 35 max.
Love it. He seems to be going to make a lot of money per game this year.
Yeah,
all right. How many more moves will Detroit make before training camp? How many more moves will Detroit make before training camp? Logan.
Zadina signing, Larkin extension, random trade no one saw coming. I'm going to go 3.
Love it. I'm just going to go 2. Zadina signing, and I like that Larkin extension. Devin.
I agree with you, Kyle. Larkin and Zadina.
Delaney?
I'm going to go 2.5 with the Zadina signing and the Larkin trade, and then the 0.5 chance that there's going to be some kind of a weird blowout trade, and we're going to see Tyler Bertuzzi on a curb with a free sign on him or something weird like that by the time the locker room's full again.
Logan, I saw your eyes light up when she said Larkin trade. I saw that.
Yeah.
Did I say Larkin trade or
you said Larkin trade?
Oh God. Okay.
It's okay. I was getting roasted last week for joking about it.
Yeah, no, I didn't even mean to say that. Oh dear God. But I wouldn't even be shocked.
If it happens, now you have proof that you said it.
I'll take my 50-50 chance here, either getting bullied until the day I die on Twitter, or I'm right like 6 months from now.
I love it. Every week we're just going to highlight that clip and then be like, is she right this week? Is she right this week? All right. Remember to play along at home with our Off the Rush segment. Answer us down below in the comments. Do you think Edvinsson will be named the best defenseman at the World Junior Championship? And if so, or how many points will he get? Who do you think will finish first, second, and third? How many games do you think Walman will play? And how many more moves will Detroit make before the training camp? And in case we haven't convinced you enough with our first 2 plugs, sign up for the Morning Skate, the morning hockey newsletter delivered to your inbox Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you want the updates on which players are getting married, engaged, having their jerseys retired, or you enjoy random hockey trivia, then the Morning Skate is the perfect way to start your day. That's it for this edition of The Grind Line. From all of us here at the Hockey Writers and our team here on The Grind, we will see you next week.